After 10 long years, millionaire Victoria Richardson found herself standing before the modest office of her ex-husband, David Thompson, the man she once left behind. Her white Bentley gleamed outside, out of place in the humble neighborhood where David had built his life after she abandoned him for a wealthier man. Once a struggling young lawyer, David now sat behind a simple desk, calm but unreadable, as Victoria entered without invitation. She was as elegant as ever, though fear clouded her eyes. She confessed her husband, Richard, had been arrested for tax fraud, and their empire was collapsing. Desperate, she begged for help, unaware that David had been preparing for this moment for years. He remembered perfectly the day she'd left, calling him a man without a future, choosing Richard, the heir to Richardson Industries, in pursuit of status and luxury. Now she was back, pleading for the same man she had mocked. David listened silently, every word reminding him of the betrayal he had endured. When she mentioned the $50 million her family stood to lose, he revealed he already knew. He had followed their downfall closely. Unknown to Victoria, David had spent 5 years investigating Richard's corrupt empire, gathering evidence of every fraudulent move. The meeting turned colder when David's calm exterior gave way to long-suppressed truths. He reminded her of her deceit, the nights she lied about her whereabouts, the humiliations she inflicted, even giving away their dog to her new husband. Victoria broke down, realizing how deeply her actions had scarred him. But David had not wasted those years. He had turned pain into purpose, building a career so formidable that even senators sought his counsel. When his business partner, Patricia, entered the room, Victoria learned that David was no longer a small-town lawyer, but a powerful force in corporate crime. Law, and Richardson Industries was one of their major investigations. Was David who had provided the FBI with every piece of evidence that led to Richard's arrest. Victoria was stunned. David hadn't just moved on. He had orchestrated her husband's downfall, turning years of betrayal into strategic justice. As the truth unfolded, Richard himself called from prison, demanding money for bail. But the call only deepened the nightmare. David exposed how Richard had laundered millions through accounts in Victoria's name without her knowledge, effectively framing her as an accomplice. Terrified, she realized she had been nothing more than a pawn in her husband's crimes. Calmly, David revealed that the entire conversation was being recorded and transmitted to federal investigators. Richard's arrogance turned to panic as he realized he had confessed on tape. When he accused David of revenge, David replied it wasn't vengeance, it was justice. For years, Richard had ruined lives, stolen pensions, and hidden deadly pollution scandals. David's meticulous work had finally exposed it all. When Victoria tearfully asked what would happen to her, David assured her she would be cleared. She had been another of Richard's victims. Her father's lost millions would be partly recovered through seized assets. While Richard faced decades behind bars, as Richard's empire crumbled live on television, Victoria finally saw the man she once dismissed as a lawyer with no future for who he had become: brilliant, relentless, and moral. David had not only destroyed a corrupt dynasty, but protected her from becoming its final casualty. 2 years later, he stood before a packed courtroom, no longer a broken man, but a respected advisor to the Department of Justice, speaking about reform and integrity. Victoria, now running an NGO for financial crime victims, watched with pride. They had rebuilt something genuine, not from wealth or power, but from truth and redemption. David had proven that greatness comes not from privilege but from resilience, and that the purest revenge is justice served with integrity.